Hello, everyone. Welcome back to a brand new episode of the 13th Man Sports Podcast. It's Shane. Frankie isn't joining us today, but don't worry. I got some very fun guests. We're going to talk a lot about hockey and football on this episode. Before we go out there, though, I just want to send out my condolences to the Ottawa UGGs, and not just that, but the family of Francis Perron, who tragically passed away on Sunday after their game against the Toronto Varsity Blues. Everyone here at the 13th Man sends our condolences to the family, his friends, and the football community across Canada, because it's such a tight-knit group. But hopefully they can get the answers that they're looking for as to why. But with that being said, I'll introduce a new voice to the 13th Man group. Dave is going to be joining us. You're going to hear a lot from him over the next couple months, as him and I are going to be going on to our weekly wraparound show, covering all things hockey, NHL, AHL, everything in between. Thank you, Dave, for joining us.
Yeah, no problem at all. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, it's finally great to have you on. And also joining us is a familiar voice. I'm not even going to try pronouncing his last name for the first time ever. We got Neil joining us.
Why do you not try? At least try.
Because I'm not going to butcher it. I feel like I've disgraced your family enough over the last couple of
months. You say it right when the camera's not rolling. When it's not rolling, you say it on point. But then I screwed it up.
Is it Neil Jalapeno? No? Okay, I tried.
Yeah, it's Irish, in case you didn't know.
Hey, you know what? No. You never know with you. You never know.
Right.
To be fair, you actually are like a stereotypical Jersey Italian person.
For all of my lovely Canadian friends, it's Neil Villapiano. There's your answer. So.
Yeah. Super, super Italian. Also with a little bit of New Jersey in that too.
A little bit. To say the least.
But, you cover, everyone knows you cover the Devils. That's how we met. We were both covering them. Dave, you're a huge Sens fan. So the two big storylines are how these teams are going to play this year. New Jersey went out, got Bernier, big news in Hamilton. Ottawa has kind of stayed quiet, signed their own guys. Tkachuk is now on the clock with Kaprizov, which we'll get to in a bit. But I'm going to start with you, Neil. Quick question.
Yep.
Where do you see New Jersey finishing in the Metro Division?
That's a really, really tough question because, look, despite the fact that obviously some of the teams that we've seen for years past be good are getting older, it's still without a doubt the toughest division in the NHL. I don't think a lot of people can argue that, considering how talented a lot of the teams are in the division. But I think this team, looking at the Devils, they're a team that wants to compete. And Tom Fitzgerald said at the end of last year, he wants to have meaningful games in March and April, which basically means that you want to be competing for a playoff spot. So with that being said, I do believe that the Devils are capable, if things go right, they stay healthy and the chemistry's working, that this could be a top 4 team in the Metropolitan Division and a team that could potentially sneak in as maybe like the 8th seed in the playoffs. That's kind of like best and also like worst case scenario in many ways. Like the worst case scenario for me would be that it would finish just outside of the playoffs, like maybe 2 or 3 points out. This is going to be a team that's going to be way more competitive than I think people realize. And look, every move that we made this offseason was very calculated. We didn't go out. Yeah, we got the top free agent in the market in Dougie Hamilton, but we also got Tomas Tatar, who after the first wave of free agency was somehow still available. And then you had Jonathan Bernier, who got traded to Carolina, didn't want to be there. So the Devils get a guy that hopefully actually doesn't retire in the middle of training camp this year and stays with us. Just having him as a solid 1B to Mackenzie Blackwood is great. Tom Fitzgerald filled needs in every single part of this team. And so this team is a lot better with the nucleus of young talent that we still have, and even guys that we have in the farm system that could potentially make a run at a spot on the roster to start the year. This is a team that's going to be much more difficult to, play against, and it's going to be a much more competitive team, and that's kind of it. So to answer your question, I could see them being like that 8th seed, and if not, maybe a couple points just out of a playoff spot. But they're certainly they're certainly no longer going to be towards the bottom of the NHL. I can promise you that.
Well, that's good. I mean, that should get New Jersey fans excited. Now, Dave, same question, but for Ottawa. I've been vocal where I think they're
Winning
going
the
to be.
Stanley Cup. There's your
But
answer.
where do you think Ottawa, realistically, where do you think Ottawa lands in the Atlantic Division?
It really depends. I see two different scenarios. We either get the Ottawa Senators, who were playing at the end of last season, and if we get those guys with consistent goaltending, which was the biggest issue for the first half of last season, then we might be able to squeak into the playoffs, if not just miss the playoffs. I think if we do still miss the playoffs, it's going to be from losing, those overtime games, those 1-point games, or those shootout games. So if we do miss, it'll be by that. That being said, I'm really concerned with the Brady Tkachuk thing. He's going to sign in Ottawa, but how much of a distraction is that going to be at the beginning of the season, right? Right now, everybody's talking about it. Obviously, the team notices it. I don't think it's going to do anything to the locker room chemistry. As everybody who's a Sens fan knows, everybody follows Brady in that room. Whether you're on the ice or off the ice, that guy is the leader. But yeah, I think if we can get some solid goaltending, if we get the Ottawa Senators that we got at the end of last season, it's a really good sign. That being said, if we go back to the beginning of last season and we get that team who's still really young, who's not very experienced yet, and goaltending isn't consistent, we need Matt Murray to be good Matt Murray, then we're in for some serious, SHIT. I don't know if you guys swear on your show or not, but so yeah, you guys.
I've tried to keep it kid friendly recently. I've tried to keep down the swearing a little bit.
Yeah, so okay, so I'm glad I spelt that word, but yeah, it's really going to depend on the chemistry and if it's still there, and if goaltending can pick up on how last season ended. Because last year at the end of the season, Matt Murray was good. He was looking fresh.
Yeah, but one time he wasn't on my fantasy team. He actually played well.
Well, that's the thing is I picked him up like 3 times in fantasy, and every game I played, he won. Every game I played him in, he won. He played it, or he had like really good games. Yeah, he lost, but he had really good games.
Is Gustafsson still with them? By the way, is Gustafsson? Yeah. Yeah. I really like Philip Gustafsson. I really do. Like, I feel like he's, how old is he? What, he's 22? He's 22, right? Yeah, he's like just very young. I think he's definitely that goalie of the future. Like, when the Senators become like really good, he's that like main guy.
It's him.
He's just like in the short time that he played, he looked like he'd been there for years. Like, he looked very calm, cool, and collected. I really liked him. I feel like he's the guy that like I would say keep your eye on like the most like this year with him, and if Murray can get back to the level that he was playing at with Pittsburgh along with Gustafsson, the Senators could win a lot of close games like this year, because scoring might be one of their issues, like consistent goal scoring. But I mean, if they're in close games with that type of goaltending, they could surprise some people.
I honestly, that's what I'm at. I'm thinking if goaltending can be stellar like they were at the end of the season, they can steal some games. Ottawa might have games where they're not potting 3-4 goals, but they can win a 2-1 or a 1-0 game, right? But yeah, a lot of it is going to be on the back of the goaltending.
Yeah, and I mean, I think people forget that Ottawa was the third best after the first like 15 games. After that, like 2-12 and one stretch, Ottawa was the third best team in the North Division. So it's not like Ottawa, like the players there, the core that's basically coming back. They're like, hey, we can play against these teams. We can be a playoff contender. So they have a lot of confidence. So
and look, they also have a lot of really exciting young players. They got obviously Stützle, who they got Thomas Chabot, who I was on a podcast last week talking about, potential guys who could make Olympic rosters. I think Thomas Chabot is going to be on the Olympic roster when it's all said and done, because I think he's one of the more underrated players in the NHL. And then you have guys like Norris, who I feel like, Norris had what? He had that like 8-game goal streak or whatever it was like last season. He had like,
I think it was like, Batherson.
Batherson, but Norris,
but Norris like went on a streak as well, because I had him on fantasy like every night.
He had like 6 straight games with a point or something like that.
Yeah, he had like
a tear a little bit.
And like you just mentioned Batherson as well, Tkachuk. Like, that's a really young, exciting team. With also the fact that they have some of the best uniforms in the NHL. That's just a team that you want to watch.
Oh,
I have to get my hands on that black one that Dave's got behind 100%. Him. I'm scared to get a player. I'd probably just get it blank because I'm terrified of getting any player. Because when my bad luck is that when I get a player, they leave or get traded. So I really don't want to do that. So I don't want to do that to my Senator friends. I really don't want to do that.
I appreciate that. But
that zero right there is Pajot. On the other side, you guys can't see it, is my Carlson jersey.
Yeah. No, I mean, you guys are still laughing your way to the bank with the Carlson trade.
That's for sure.
That's true. But when it was first made, man, I don't care what Sens fan you talk to, they're lying if they
hated
said
it.
They knew it was a win. If they said they knew it was a win at the beginning, they're liars.
I mean, no, I did say that it was a win because I definitely called Carlson dropping off, especially if he didn't sign, because like that was the big thing. Is that I like Norris, I knew Norris, I like Balcers, I like the return, and we all knew that we weren't going to get the quality. We got quantity.
Didn't Balcers go back to San Jose, by the way?
Yeah, he got claimed off waivers.
He got picked off of waivers, right?
And he's not playing bad by any means.
No, he actually did well considering San Jose has been god awful.
Yeah, like
lucky for
so
us.
I liked the trade. I thought it was a good trade at the time. And then the idea that Carlson may just walk at like free agency, and Norris, I liked him. I liked what I saw from him when I watched him play at Michigan. So I will say, though, I did call that trade being a good trade for Ottawa at the time.
Also, former Senator Bobby Ryan signing a PTO with Detroit, I saw today.
Oh, he's going back? That's good. I haven't really checked.
But it was a PTO. I was like, wait, why does he have to prove himself again?
I think it's because of the injury. I think because he hurt his leg. Like, it was a lower body injury. So I think it's more of a, I want to go to camp and see if I can actually
I still think he's a productive player, even at his age and like everything that like.
Hey, if they actually signed him to a 1-year deal, I will buy his jersey. Because I was actually been waiting to see if he signed with anyone before getting a 54. Because I wanted to see if he went to another team or not.
He's a New Jersey native, in case anybody wants to know.
So, like Bobby Ryan has always been one of my favorite players. I don't know Shane, if you even saw this, but like I think it was towards the end of the season. I went on a 93-day thing on Twitter where I was tagging Detroit to send me a Bobby Ryan jersey. They never did.
Yeah, I saw that.
After 93 days, I quit.
You were like day 13 of asking the Red Wings for a jersey.
Yeah, I had people DMing me. They're just like, I know this doesn't involve me, but stop.
Yeah, right. But no, you gotta do the classic thing where you tweet at Cool Hockey and you ask how many retweets do I need to get a Bobby Ryan jersey. They'll probably do it.
I love Bobby Ryan. I actually had the opportunity to interview him at the end of the last season. We have
awesome.
I have the video, and it was a really good interview. He had mentioned that he hated poutine, and literally my jaw dropped.
Yeah, I remember that.
He turns to his wife and he's like, I'm being stared down by 2 Canadians. But he was hoping to go back to Detroit. I think he really likes Detroit as a city.
That's not surprising.
Yeah, he loves the organization, and he's one of those veterans that can really understand a guy like Yzerman. Although they're from the different generation, they're both from the old school mentality still, right?
He's also New Jersey tough because he's from Jersey, so
he is from well, there you go. But
technically speaking, he's from Jersey.
I was about to say, but he's raised in Philly, isn't he? And then Cali.
Well, he's from Cherry Hill, New Jersey, which I mean, some people would say is basically Philly, but it's still New Jersey. And then he moved from Jersey to California.
Yeah.
No, actually, I was talking to a guy that he actually thought New Jersey was a city, and I was like, I'm Canadian, and I knew that it's not. A city.
We're not going to get into it. I've seen some pretty stupid things, but talking about jerseys, we were talking about jerseys quickly. I'm pumped for this. I've been calling it for the last 3 years. When the white Kachina is back.
Shane couldn't help himself on the hockey podcast group chat. He couldn't help himself and just be like, I called it.
I called it. I honestly, I love it. It's one of my favorite white jerseys.
Yeah,
out there.
It looks clean.
Apparently they're not bringing back the reverse retro, and I'm disappointed about it.
Oh, the purple one, right? That was the Phoenix Suns looking one. Yeah.
They're not bringing it back, and I'm super disappointed.
Well, the team might not exist for much longer, so I mean, it's.
I don't know, man. No. I don't know if any coach can turn this team around. It's on Andre Tournier.
But it's not about the team.
It's not about the players. Yeah,
it's about, does Arizona want to give them any more money?
I mean,
look at that new stadium that they were talking about building in Tempe. Where the hell is that money coming from?
Taxpayers.
Yeah, you think taxpayers are going to go down this road again?
I'm surprised they haven't just moved into where the Suns and play where the Suns play.
I don't know how much it would cost to make a new arena, but I hear our government's giving away $610 million.
Yeah, well, we're not going to get into it. We're not getting into that.
You're not going to. Yeah. I was having fun last night on Twitter looking at people talking about the Canadian election. I thought that was entertaining.
Yeah, we won't get into it though. We definitely won't.
We're not a politics show.
No, of course not.
It was just a jab at us Canadians, is what that was. But I'm probably in the minority that I do not like the jerseys.
Really? Both of them? Both of them, or just the white one?
Just the white one.
Just the white one. Oh, okay.
That's fair.
I just for some I
don't know. I can understand. I can understand. I can understand that.
It's to me. It's just it's hard to explain. I understand they're going for the old school, but some old school just doesn't work. And to me, there's something about that clashes with my eyes. And I'm not a fan. But again, it's just me. I think I might be crazy because a lot of people.
I'm in the opposite where I love it better than the black one because I find that the colors like the green and like the burgundy they use.
The black one is still the best one in my opinion.
I love the black one. The black one looks good.
I agree. I don't know. There's something about the white on the green and like just the burgundy. They just pop a little bit more on the white.
Yeah.
So
Louis Erickson's going to look nice in that uniform.
Oh yeah, Andrew Ladd is going to look like a beauty.
Is Andrew Ladd actually going to play? That's the question. Is he actually?
Yeah, he's been told that he's going to be in the NHL
in 4 years.
He accepted.
In 4 years, Austin Matthews is going to look great in that jersey.
Isn't it 3? It's only 3 years.
Yeah, 3 years. Really 3 years, Austin Matthews.
Yeah.
I actually really want that to happen.
So do I.
Just so that we can have it, because it's still frustrating that you look at it's like the greatest player in Coyotes history is still Shane Doan.
Hey,
by a lot.
Don't
Canadian legend, man.
Don't.
No. That wasn't a disrespect on Doan. It was more of a fact of who else have they had?
They've had good players. They just can't keep.
They had Jeremy Roenick at one time, I guess.
Who was trash. I hated Roenick.
Who was trash, right? Who was trash?
I hated him. You guys got Phil Kessel. They got Phil Kessel.
Is he still? No, wait.
Yeah, he's still there.
Yeah.
Wasn't he going to get? I thought he was going to get traded. I thought I heard he was going to get traded.
I mean, he still might, but they're going for Shane Wright, baby. They're going to go back-to-back drafts, picking first overall. They're going to get Shane Wright and Bedard out of Regina, and they're just going to run. And they're going to have Matthews.
They're going to steamroll, right?
Game over.
Game over, right?
Just like, hey, we're going to tank the next 2 years, get top 3 picks. We'll sign Matthews to this ridiculous contract, and we'll just run over everybody.
Matthews is going to take Marner with him.
I like that. Oh, Jesus. I actually really like their offseason. For some reason, all the moves that Arizona made, I'm not complaining at all.
Getting players for absolutely nothing, getting picks for nothing,
it's great.
Genius.
They might as well stand at the podium the whole draft and just be like, yep, we have – basically they just became the Oklahoma City Thunder of the NHL.
Yeah. Getting rid of friggin' Larson for a top 10 pick. Genius.
Yeah. Getting Louis what they get for Louis Erickson? They got that was part of it.
They got rid of 6 years or 7 years of Louis Erickson for 1 year of Roussel, Erickson, and Beagle, and the 9th overall pick.
And Beagle's still a good player too. It's not like Beagle's
you can trade him at the draft. You can trade him at the deadline to a playoff contender.
That's what they're going to do. They're going to just trade these guys at the deadline.
Do you guys think if Matthews went to Arizona, do you think Bieber would become an AZ fan?
Oh, 100%. They spent
Bieber is a front runner. What people don't understand is that Bieber is a front runner because he's been to so many games wearing different jerseys. He's not a Maple Leafs fan.
No, I mean he is a Maple Leafs fan, but he's also a musician.
You know how many times he was at Devils games wearing Devils stuff, and I'm like, he's a front runner.
Yeah, but because are you going to say no to a free jersey? Are you really going to?
No, of course. Look. I saw how much
money you have. If you
I saw PK Subban at the Jets game, and that doesn't mean that PK's a Jets fan. God, I hope he's not a Jets fan.
But if you're going to a team, if you're going to an arena and they offer you a free jersey, you're not going to say no.
Right? Obviously, no. I get that. No, I know. It's just I still just don't believe that he's a Maple Leafs fan.
Could you imagine the publicity Justin Bieber turns down Jersey fan, right? Or a New Jersey jersey, or he turns down an Arizona jersey.
I believe it.
Something have fangirls being pissed. Yeah.
Yeah. Some people are going to be mad. They're gonna make it more than it is. So he's like, yeah, I'll take a free jersey. Like, I don't care.
I love that Austin Matthews has to continue to defend Justin Bieber for like how he may be good at hockey. He's like, oh yeah, he's a beast. I've seen him play. He's not that good. All right,
See, here's the thing, though, is that
he's okay at hockey. He's okay.
He's a like if he was in the NHL, he'd be a bottom 6 guy.
If that.
Like,
if he tried to make it professionally, you mean like in real life? That guy couldn't fucking. Oh, sorry, language. That guy could not play for the Marlies. That guy couldn't make it anymore.
See, here's the thing, though, is that if you actually watch him as like a kid, he was actually pretty good. Like, there's clips of him.
Yeah, he got forced into it.
No, but like, he was actually a pretty good hockey player, and until his music career like turned up. If his music,
do you think that if it wasn't for music, you think he would have been an NHL player?
No, but I think he would be one of the guys that got like was a late round pick.
Oh, like
he actually had skill. Like you actually watch some of his like younger shit. He actually had
younger.
Skill.
Yeah,
that's
younger.
Like, we're drafting 18-year-olds and expecting them to be superstars by the time they're 21 and calling them a bust because they're not. So like
unless you're Connor McDavid. What's your name is Connor McDavid.
That is true. We are calling kids 21-year-olds busts already. Like
Jack Hughes was considered a bust.
People call Jack Hughes a bust, and it's like I don't know what more we have to.
That makes me beyond angry. Like beyond.
Bro, even from an analytical perspective, everybody's saying no. He's clearly going to explode.
Same concept as Stützle right now, right? We might get better at Stützle next year. I think we will. But when you're playing on a team that's still
don't tell me they're saying he's a bust. Don't tell me they're saying he's a bust.
No. I'm saying when you're on a team that's still trying to build because they're at the bottom of the barrel, in the NHL. There's only so much you can do, especially when you're that young. You're still kind of, you're still developing. You're still getting your skills together, and you're, coming up with a young team. It's going to take time. I'm going to call it here. Jack Hughes gets 100 points. I'm going to say probably by year 5 of his career.
I agree. I think this is the year that he gets at least 60 points.
Jack Hughes.
This is that year he gets 60 points.
Jack Hughes, Tim Tussle. There's a bunch of them that are following the McKinnon curve. Like McKinnon looked good. But people were like, "Man, is he going to be like a 50-point like career guy, or is he going to turn up and finally be like an 80, 90-point guy by like year?" And that was like his first 3 years, and then by his 4th year, he started turning it up, and he's had basically like 4 straight years of 90. I think 3 straight years of 90+ points.
People are writing off Alexis Lafreniere, and I'm like, "Come on, man! Like he just got there."
No, I've said it multiple times. Fans are fan bases in any sport. Hockey specifically are probably one of the most toxic groups of people there is. Like, because we look at these kids at like 21 and we're like, you suck. You're not good enough to be in the NHL. And it's like, we're sitting on our ass watching hockey on a couch on a phone when they're out there making like hundreds of thousands of dollars playing a sport.
Yeah, what are we talking about?
Like, why are we bashing this kid? Like,
one of the big issues though is you have guys like Connor McDavid and Matthews who came out on fire, and now that's supposed to be expectations.
Yeah,
if you're a top 3 guy, you're supposed to catch fire right off the get-go. Like,
I was talking about this. I was talking about this on the pod on one of my episodes. That it's gotten to that point now where like we literally expect every first overall pick to be a star. Like, here's the thing. Rasmus Dahlin is a really talented defenseman. Yeah. The problem is number one, he's playing in Buffalo, so obviously we just assume, oh yeah, he's trash because it's like, but he has progressed every year. He was the best defenseman on a very bad Buffalo team.
It's like Aaron Ekblad in Florida, where he won the Rookie of the Year, and then just was good. Like he was decent the last couple of years, but it wasn't until like 2 years ago where people were like, "Oh damn, he's actually not a bust."
Yeah, people are saying about him now. Like I hear people talking about Aaron Ekblad. I'm like, you just realized that Ekblad has talent? Like he's been this good,
dude. He's like 6'6". It's like Hedman. People were saying Hedman was a bust by like.
Oh, Hedman's the perfect example of people.
And I'm like, bro, these kids need time, especially defensemen. Yeah. Are like, bro, these kids need time to grow. They need to.
That's why the people body. That's why the people that crap all over Shabbat last year. I'm always just like, no. Shabbat has been above expectation from day one. Last year, he just finally had a normal year, which is he wasn't supposed to be great off the get-go. He's still getting better and better and better. And he had what I call, like I said, an off year, not a bad year. He had a year of what was supposed to be, again, growing pain years, right? So,
I mean, it's an off year if it only happens once. I will say that. I've always been under that belief. It's an off year if it happens once. If it happens again, it was a bad year.
Right.
Like,
Right.
and I think with Shabbat, like, I probably one of Shabbat's hardest critics. But like, if you go on Twitter, I especially last year, I was railing Shabbat every chance I had. Like, he was bad, and I was calling out for it. But at the same time, like, you watch, Doughty, Carlson, Giordano, Hedman, they all make those same mistakes. It's just the consistency factor. Shabbat's 20, entering, I think, his age 25 season.
Yep.
Most of these guys were, entering their seventh season at 25. Dude entered the NHL at 21. There's going to be growing pains, especially when the team's bad. Fans just need to kind of relax and take things in stride.
Yep.
I think with fans, I feel like, and I'm only speaking for like, particularly my generation, like people my age, we just want instant gratification instead of like this whole, like, if you go back 20 years ago, I don't feel like people were overreacting this much. I feel like people were, you know what I'm saying? Like, nowadays it's like, we need this guy to be like the best player on the planet now. And again, if you're a fan of other sports other than hockey, particularly, here's a good example, particularly football and basketball in here in the United States, we're always expecting these guys to come out right away and be good. They're kind of thrown into the limelight right away. NBA in particular. You get drafted number 1 overall, you're playing 25, 30 minutes a night. That's just a fact, right? And guys who coming in and they're ready to go and everything. Same thing in the NFL. It's not like that in the NHL. And it's not like that in Major League Baseball either. I've said it before. Mike Trout and Bryce Harper did not immediately come into Major League Baseball and were stars. They played the minors for a while. Granted, not that long, but still, they played the minors before they got up here, and then they started to roll. In the NHL, not everybody comes in the league and lights the house on fire. You need to give them time. You need for them to develop, especially European players that come over here playing on smaller ices, trying to figure it out. Stutzla at one point or another was like, this is a lot different than what I'm used to playing. Yeah, like, you're playing in the toughest league in the world, and you're playing on a smaller rink all the time. So, and also you're playing in a pandemic.
Yeah, I mean,
which didn't help.
Like, even talking about, football, most of these guys are, like, very, very rarely do you have 21, 22-year-olds being starters in the NFL. You don't have, like, Lamar Jackson starting at, like, 21. I think Joe Burrow started his rookie season at, like, 24, 25.
24.
So, like,
24.
You have that time to develop. And
like, go ahead, Shane. Sorry.
Like, it's like hockey. I think the problem is, though, is that we're shoved, these kids are shoved down our throats. Their highlights are shoved down our throats, and they're hyped up.
Yep.
To basically to be like these next elite talent. It's right. So when they come in and they're playing against guys who've been in the league 10 years, they're obviously not going to have the same kind of success that they were playing against their own age group. That just doesn't work for everybody.
Yeah.
Look at guys like Drake Batherson. That guy's been in and out of the Ottawa lineup for the last couple of years, right? He was playing Belleville, and then he was playing Ottawa. Last year was his first full year, and it wasn't even a full year. And I have him being Ottawa's leading goal scorer next season. That's just my opinion. Honestly, man, like, it takes time. And then you have guys like, look, speaking of like being older for your rookie season, Kirill Kaprizov, like, that guy's 47, and he just had his rookie season, and I mean, he's playing great.
I still think he should not have won Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, but that's a different discussion. And the same thing with Panarin, right?
It's stupid.
Same thing with Panarin. Panarin probably shouldn't have won it either, but he was eligible, and he was the best rookie at the time.
But
there should be a rule. There should be a rule for pro hockey.
I will say this: everybody needs to understand this. When Panarin was first drafted, there is not a single person in the entire hockey world that thought he was going to be what he is now.
Yeah, but at the same time, he didn't come over until he was 24. He came over a year older than Kaprizov.
He developed. Like, if he was in the NHL, right. If he was in the NHL right away, people would have written him off and said, "Oh, he's a
100%." But talk about it, like it's like how Nedeljkovic out in Detroit now.
Yeah,
he was up for the Calder, and now he can be a finalist again this year. The rookie trophy's a joke. That's what it is. It's turned into a joke. But we brought up Kaprizov, and we may as well talk about it because it has huge implications on the rest of the RFA class.
I guess.
Hey, Peterson and Kachuk are left.
Pedersen.
Whatever.
How do you say Peterson?
Isn't Hughes
Pedersen.
up too in Vancouver?
Yeah, Hughes and Dahlin are both up.
Oh, and I don't know if you guys saw, but on, what was it, TSN, Jack Hughes was talking about Quinn Hughes' situation, and he said that he's playing for the worst team in the NHL.
I saw in Vancouver,
and I'm like, okay, Jack,
I literally said, brothers need to stop coming to brothers' aids when it comes to contract negotiations.
Oh, no. I tweeted it out.
Matthew Tkachuk was worse.
I pissed off so many Canucks fans because I retweeted that video and I said, Jack Hughes, like saying all that, and I'm here for it. And people were just so mad that I even said anything. And I'm like, look, here's the thing. It's your fault that you are stuck in cap hell. Yeah. It's not my fault.
And you trade for Larson and sign Garland. Like
you signed Garland to a ridiculous contract.
But you want to talk about ridiculous? Kaprizov, 1 year, and this is where I have an issue. 1 year, and he gets $9 million?
Not even a year. 54 games, my friend.
Yeah, like, dude, he gets half a season worth of games, and he gets $9 million.
Think about this. The Wild wanted a long-term deal, and Kaprizov didn't. Can you imagine how much money he would have gotten if it was like a 9-year deal?
Dude, it was ridiculous. Like, bro, this is
losing our minds.
People are getting mad that Kachuk hasn't signed in Ottawa. And then you see this. It's like you're getting $9 million after 1 year.
Kachuk is going to get a decent contract that's not going to hurt the Senators. I feel that's what we're going to end up seeing here.
Probably.
It's like, but you know, I'd give him a bridge deal. Honestly, I would give him a bridge deal for like 2 years.
I agree.
I'd give him a 2 year. Like I look at I bring up the Devils because it's good because we had 2 RFAs that we had to sign and we gave both Yanni Kuokkanen and Yegor Sharangovich 2-year contracts, both at like $2.5 million, $3 million. Now, granted, Kachuk is better than both of those guys, but still, I feel like look at what happened with look at what is happening with Patrick Laine. He signed a bridge deal to prove himself. Now he signed another bridge deal with Columbus. He's banking on himself, and so far it's been working. If I was Brady Kachuk, I would do the same thing.
But here's the thing.
Also with Matthew Kachuk as well, I'd do the same thing.
Matthew's in his 7. He's got a 3-year bridge right now.
Yeah, he's in his last year.
Oh, he's right.
Yeah. Here's the thing, though, is that Matthew Kachuk.
I thought he was. for some reason, I thought he still didn't have a contract for some reason.
Yeah, no, but Matthew Kachuk has had put up more success, more points than Brady. So the argument Ottawa has is, well, your brother's getting $7 million on a bridge deal. So if you're getting a bridge deal, we're not giving you $7 million.
Give him like 4. Is that really too? It's going
to be more than 6 because you can't give him more than you can't give him less than Kotkaniemi. But realistically,
a lot of the talk is this. Okay, so first, shout out to Derek Lee. Derek Lee was saying 7 years should be kind of be where it's at. I said you kind of have to, just because of how competitive the Tkachuk brothers are, you have to give him a bit more than his brother. Although you're overpaying a little bit for a bridge contract, you get him at 7.75 just because you know he wants to go rub it in his brother's face. So you're overpaying a little bit for that bridge contract, but it's probably something funny that they could take to the family. You have to also understand. Like,
so give him $1 more than what Matthew Tkachuk is getting.
or $7 more. $7 more. His jersey.
Yeah, 7. You're right. Go for his jersey. $7 more.
Pull the Aho thing with the $20 bonus. So give him $7 more. But I honestly, 3 years, $7 million is not bad. If they want 3 years at 7.75 or whatever, I wouldn't mind. So anywhere in between that, I think would be ideal.
Yeah, Ottawa has the room to do this.
Yeah,
but I room to do it.
So Brady holds all the cards, but I think Matthew really hurt his image in that video, in that friggin' interview.
Oh, yeah. 100%. They definitely will backfire. But here's the thing. Friggin' Matthew Tkachuk had 77 points his last year, like his 3rd year of his ELC. So he had more leverage than Tkachuk, who put up 36 in the last season. Yep. Matthew Tkachuk put up 43 last year. So... Mm-hmm. And you can make an argument. You can't make an argument that Calgary has more depth, more scoring depth than Ottawa, which impacts Brady's game. Like, realistically, you can make that argument and people would be there for it. But at the same time, 45 points, 44 points, and then 36 points in a shortened season. Yes, he's probably reaching 50 in all 3 years in a full 82-game season. But still, 8 million people were pissed at Bobby Ryan's contract at $7 million, and he had 50-point seasons in Ottawa.
Yeah.
Like,
I think the problem is Brady is worth more to Ottawa than Matthew is to Calgary. Like Calgary has
That's a very good
guys,
point. That's a very good point.
Like Calgary has a really good veteran presence and other guys that can throw it around. Brady is literally the guy who's at the front of the line, who's carrying everybody. Everybody looks to Brady. And I think it's just, again, it's Matthew might be in general more valuable, but to their team, to the respective team, I think Ottawa looks at Brady to be more valuable than Matthew.
But here's the thing.
Matthew is not the main focal point of the Calgary Flames.
Agreed.
The main focal point still in Calgary is obviously Johnny Gaudreau, and now you just brought in Blake Coleman, who honestly is pretty damn valuable himself considering the past two seasons. Dave hit it right on the head. With Brady being on a much younger team that doesn't have as much goal-scoring firepower, Brady is more of the focal point of that. He is the face of that franchise right now.
Agreed, but how much is that worth?
And might change that narrative later on, but right now it's Brady Tkachuk.
Agreed, which is why you have to figure out a dollar, like how much is that worth? Because realistically, let's say you sign him to an 8 times 8, and then by year 3, he's a 50-point guy.
Mm-hmm.
Still respectable, but at $8 million, you expect more than 50 points.
Right.
And he's your captain, okay? So how much, and if Batherson and Stutzler and Norris are leading the team in scoring, how much value are you putting that dollar amount towards the leadership and the captaincy and all that stuff?
Mm-hmm.
How much of a dollar amount are you putting on it? Mm-hmm. And I think that's where Ottawa and Tkachuk and Tkachuk's camp are seeing things differently because, is that leadership value worth an extra $2-3 million? Who knows? But
at the end of the day, and at the end of the day, there's reports of the 8 times 8, but no one has actually been like, "Hey, there has been an offer of 8.8." We have not actually.
It's been quiet for weeks. Nothing has been. It's just rumors. Nothing has been like, "Oh yeah, this definitely was offered."
Yeah, and I think that's exactly what they want it to be, right?
And the rumors are 8.8. Then even Matthew came out saying there's a lot of false information floating around out there.
Yeah.
So who knows if that was even the offer or not, right?
And obviously, going back to, Kaprizov's deal, and, Shane brings up a good point about the fact that, with Kaprizov's contract, it definitely makes other teams look at it and say, okay, can we use that now as like a way? And also, I think something that should be mentioned, I don't think it's talked about enough. In the next 2 or 3 years, the salary cap in the NHL will actually this time go up. Yeah. And with the new TV deal that you got from ESPN and Turner, you're going to get a lot more money in. The cap space is going to grow, and players are going to be demanding more. That's the way you got to look at it. That's why Kaprizov got a 5-year deal, because he's looking at it long-term like, I can cash in a couple of years. Like, I could really cash in. That's the way that I look at it. And then the other thing that we should mention is this, talking about it from Minnesota's perspective. What are they going to do now about Kevin Fiala? What's the situation with Kevin Fiala now?
Hey, you want to talk about Fiala? He has the same agent as Tkachuk.
Yeah.
We look at Kaprizov. That's the money he got. What about Fiala? What's what?
When you prove a deal? Because realistically, Fiala.
How much longer does Fiala have to prove it? He's done this for several years now.
But he also had it's how he ended up in Minnesota. He couldn't produce consistently in Nashville. So I could understand, maybe there's a little bit more to prove out of Fiala. Because he has shown that, okay, he gets a contract and he dipped a little bit. Then he goes to Minnesota and then has success. The other question is, how much success came with playing with Kaprizov?
Well, but again, when you bring up Kaprizov, here's the thing. You're giving him money after 1 year of production. I'm not saying that Kaprizov won't be able to come out in the next 2 or 3 years and continue that same thing. But how do they know for a fact that Kaprizov's going to do the same thing over and over again? To me, I've always looked at it this way. With contracts, especially when you give them long-term like that, they have to have some body of work for several years that proves, okay, like this is it. Like look at the way the Devils structured Dougie Hamilton's contract. They literally structured it so that as the years progress, yes, he's making a really huge amount of money, but at the same time, they know what they're getting in him. They know what they're Like, we know that Dougie Hamilton's going to be good. Like, we know he's going to be a top 2 defenseman on this team. That's the way that that's the way that they did it. So that's the whole thing here with, I look at it and I say, Kaprizov, he had that great year. Everybody was infatuated with him. Do we know for a fact that he's going to do that next year? Any Minnesota fan will say yes. But
it bothers me that people keep saying Kaprizov had a year. He didn't have a year, man. He had like 2/3 of a season. You know what I mean?
Yeah, which
the beginning of the year.
I challenged Twitter this. Hold on. I challenged Twitter earlier today. I said, find me somebody else in the history of NHL who was given whether it be in the 90s, 2000s, whatever, at the time, right, an outrageous contract for such a little sample. You will not find one. Not one.
Not one.
DiPietro.
That's the thing. And I think
DiPietro, yeah, but he still played.
DiPietro, if you actually look at the value of that contract when he signed it, he didn't have the biggest sample size considering.
No, not even close. But that's also where comes desperation. That's where desperation comes in. See,
yeah, they needed a goalie.
Right. And also, look, with Kaprizov, it's simply this. There were obviously a lot. It wasn't rumors. This was legit that he was going to go back to the KHL and play there. And he was going to get a decent amount of money from the KHL. What was it? He was getting offered something like $15+ million for 1 year with CSK Moscow. I mean, that's a crap load of money for literally 1 year.
Could they afford to give him that much?
Apparently that team does. Because I think that's the team that Vladimir Putin, either owns or support.
I think they support it.
He's supported, so they have obviously more money than the other teams. But look at it, whether that was legitimately the case or not. Billy Guerin flinched first. That was a matter of who was going to flinch first, and you knew that Kaprizov was going to get a contract. I was just expecting it to be a 3-year deal at the maximum because it was you have to talk to his agent and say, look, we can't just give you that much money off of 1 year.
But to be fair,
it wasn't even a full year. It was 52 games.
But you're getting here of his best years because realistically, there is and this is the thing I have with Tkachuk, and I've said it about Shabbat too. There's a possibility that when Shabbat's contract is up, he is no longer an Ottawa Senator because he'll be in his 30s, and you'll have Sanderson. So if you have Sanderson, who's a couple of years younger, who's playing at an elite level, how much money are you willing to throw at Shabbat?
Or they do it like they did Alfie, and they just keep giving him small little contracts. Hey, you want to stay in Ottawa? Boom, here you go.
But Kaprizov, you're getting his best years because he's entering his age 24 season or age 25 season.
Yeah, he'll be 25 in April, I think.
Yeah. So you have him from 20. You have basically until he's 30 years old. That's pretty good. Yeah, when's his birthday? Yeah, April. So he's entering his age 24 season. So you basically have him until he's 30. You could walk away from him at 30 and no one will really complain about it unless he puts up consistently puts up 90 points.
Fair. And so a little off topic. I actually have to run, but I want to ask you guys this. And this is probably more for you since you're a Jersey fan.
Sure.
So Hamilton has always been a really good player, okay? But I'm going to say last year was probably one of his best. I watched him play last year, and I loved watching that Dougie Hamilton over any other Dougie Hamilton I've seen.
Mm-hmm.
Do you really think he could play up to that contract, considering he was playing with a guy like Slavin?
Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying that he needs a Slavin to be good because he's always been good. But do you guys do Jersey fans really think he's going to live up to that contract, not having a partner like Slavin?
Yes, because again, the Devils have a lot of young defensemen that haven't even played in the NHL yet. So there's a lot of possibilities. And we have Ty Smith as well. But here's the thing. People are not talking about this move enough. The Devils also traded Maltsev and a second-round pick to get Ryan Graves for the next 2 years. And Ryan Graves is a damn good defenseman on his own right. And he is more of a defensive defenseman, and Dougie Hamilton is more of the offensive defenseman. So it kind of balances out that way. So the way that I look at it is simply this. Long term, I do think that he can live up to that contract. I think that we do have the pieces in place. And look, there's obviously always free agent moves moving forward, trades, other prospects that we have that could work. I think that we are at that point now with Dougie Hamilton where it's time for him to really be. I'm not saying he wasn't the number one defenseman in Carolina, but you do also have, as you mentioned, Dave, Jacob Slavin. You do have him, and Jacob Slavin is one of the top defensemen in the NHL as well. So, I mean, this is where Dougie Hamilton can look at it and say, this is his team, more or less. This is like, he's the number one guy. He's getting all this money. It's time to prove it, and that's why he's here. So I'm cautiously optimistic, as I usually am with every move that we make. I'm cautiously optimistic that I personally believe that it'll work out. I do. And even if it doesn't, if we have to buy him out at any point, it actually, if you look at the contract itself, it doesn't actually hurt the Devils that much. So it's not like we're in a situation where we're going to be screwed if we have to buy him out in his later years. We also signed him for the majority of the rest of his good years that he has, because right now he's really just beginning the prime of his career as a player in the NHL. This is that time where Dougie Hamilton can take that next step. It's about figuring out who that right partner is to the left of him, like you mentioned. Who's that Jacob Slavin on the Devils? It could be Ryan Graves. It could be Ty Smith. It could be a guy like Kevin Ball. We don't know, but that's my attitude towards it.
I told a buddy, I said, I guarantee you, Dougie Hamilton is going to be top 3 votes for Norris next season. That was just my opinion.
He's going to get major minutes.
I think he's going to stand out a lot in a team like New Jersey.
I agree.
Shane, I know this is your show, but I want to ask you something too, just because this is one of the things I really want to ask you something. With Chara signing as with the Islanders for a season,
nice.
How would you feel if after this season he did the full circle and came and signed a 1-year deal with Ottawa?
I wouldn't like it.
Oh, no? I was hoping you'd say. I was hoping
here's the thing. Here's the thing, and I'm in the minority for this. I was never the biggest fan of Chara, and I don't think Chara was ever that good. And the reason why, I will admit, he is smart. He's probably one of the smartest hockey players that I have ever watched growing up and any time. Skill-wise, though, he's just not. He was never good, in my opinion, skill-wise. He made up for his lack of skill with his reach because, being 6'9" on skates allows you to do that. He had a huge stick, but he's intelligent. He's super smart, which has helped him prolong his career. He knows when to make the right play. So I'll give him that. But personally, I've never been a huge fan of him. I never think he's actually been a top 5 or top 10 or even top 20 defenseman in the NHL. I don't think he'd be beneficial to this team.
I think for sentimental value, I would love to see it. But I agree. So even when he played for Ottawa, I said he was a terrible skater, which is still true till this day.
Yeah. Was he really that bad in Ottawa?
He was a bad skater. He would get beat by St. Louis constantly.
People used to call Phaneuf a pylon. I used to call Chara a lamppost. It was that bad. Okay. Now Chara had a big shot, and when he was in Ottawa, it got better in Boston. But in Ottawa, he had a huge shot, but it's very inaccurate. I remember. I don't know if you guys remember this because you're a lot younger than me. When he broke Alfie's ribs with a slap shot.
Yeah, took it on the inside.
And I know Alfie was kind of in a way because he was taking a shot from the point. But stuff like that, like he almost killed quite a few of his own teammates taking shots from the point. If you're taking shots from the point, you better be
ready.
Yeah, exactly.
If
you're going to shoot from the point with 100 and 11 mile an hour freaking shot, you better be accurate because you're killing somebody if you don't, man.
Yeah,
but I said sentimental value. I'd love to see it though.
Yeah, but I mean, there's a reason why he was paired with Redden. I'm just saying there was a reason for it.
That's true, but just think the 2D jersey and then 1-year contract, retire.
Just sign to him one day. Let him retire. Let him retire as senator just to piss off Bruins fans.
But I was about to say, people overestimate what his time in Ottawa was. People think like he was in Ottawa forever. Like Joe, he spent I think like 4 seasons.
Yeah, he spent 4 years in Ottawa and then wanted out because he wanted to be the top guy and he wasn't.
And he went to Boston. He got to see right away. And at the time he got a massive contract. Considering what they're handing out in the NHL at the time. But honestly, I just for sentimental value, I'd love to see it. I would just love to see it. That's just me. Again, you can make him a 7th defenseman. I don't care. You can. Whatever. I just think it'd be really cool to see him in a 2D jersey again. What is it, 45, 46? So
yeah, I know that makes sense.
So, But yeah, boys, I got a split. Man, thanks for having me on, buddy.
Hey, no issue. Thank you for coming on short notice. It's a pleasure. Most of our show has now been hockey, and I think we'll take. We're not going to take a break, but we'll jump into some football talk again. Thank you, Dave, for coming on. You can find him at JD_Hockey Talks.
My Hockey Talks, yep. Or Hockey Talks,
and,
yes, right.
Yeah, and then you can catch him every Monday when on the Weekly Wraparound Show. Will be posted onto Spotify, Twitter, all that fun stuff through the 13th Man podcast or 13th Man Network podcast network. We'll be releasing it there, so you want to check on that. But again, thank you, Dave, for coming on, and we'll talk soon.
Thanks, guys. Have a good evening.
All right. Well, there was Dave again. Huge shout out for him for coming on. We spent most of the show talking hockey, which is more than fine.
This happens every time you and I are together. This happens every time.
Yeah,
we just go on and on and on.
But we'll jump into some quick NFL stuff before we head off. So week 2, a lot of surprising matchups in week 2. I find in terms of the outcome. I know your Giants lost by 1
this season.
Giants lost by 1, which I kind of laughed at. I'm not gonna lie.
Thank you for that.
I just thought, honestly,
in case anybody wants to know what team I'm a fan of.
Yeah, I don't understand it.
I'm also a Raiders fan, so I'm also half happy.
Yeah, I was expecting them to be this. I'm a Steelers fan. I'm like, they're gonna win. There's no way they don't win.
Also, everybody, please stop saying that the Steelers are good. They're not. They really aren't.
They're really not. Their
defense is trash.
No, their defense is fine. They just don't have an offense.
And Big Ben is holding that organization back. You ever wonder why they haven't been able to rebuild? It's because that man will not retire because he knows he's got nothing else going on after football.
Yeah, I also think they're willing to pay him the money, so he's like, why not? If they're willing to pay, why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you go for it?
Right.
But we'll start off. I'll admit, I haven't really watched many NFL games this season.
It's okay, neither have I.
I've watched highlights, I've watched the recaps and whatnot, and I've tuned in here and there, but I've had other things to do on Sunday because it's my day off and I have adult responsibilities.
And also, you like the CFL more, which is understandable.
Yes, it's a fantastic game. I'm going to the game against Hamilton tomorrow night.
My guy Bo Mitchell's hurt again.
Yeah,
there's so much pain with that.
Hey, talk about ex-Steeler Delvin Hodges signed a 3-year deal with the Red Blacks.
Yo, Duck Dodges is still playing football. I love it.
Yeah, but starting off with your Giants against the Washington football team.
Oh, God.
One point win, seeing Washington come out on top 30-29. McLaurin was the first Washington player with 10+ receptions, 100+ yards, and only one a TD since Pierre Garcon. What a player! I love Garcon when he was in Indianapolis, and then when he went to Washington, loved him. But that was in 2014. What a game! I watched the highlights. I actually rewatched a little bit of that game.
Yeah.
Because they were replaying it on the NFL Network, I believe it was. So I was able to catch a little bit of it. But man, that was a really good game. I'm not gonna lie. Daniel Jones looked good. Barkley sucked, but Jones looked.
Well, he's okay. Barkley is not 100%. As a matter of fact, in my opinion, he's not even 50%. The reality is simply that he rushed himself. He's rushing himself back because he understands how important this season is to the whole organization. You got to call it like it is. David Gettleman is going to be fired after this season.
I believe it.
The Giants keep playing this way. This is the 10th time in the last 11 seasons that the New York Giants, I'm not making this up, have started the season 0-2.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
This is also the 5th year in a row that we started 0-2.
Yep.
David Gettleman has yet to win 10 games in his entire tenure as the general manager of the New York Football Giants. And if you want to blame somebody for why things are the way that they are, it is John Mara's fault because John Mara is too nice of a person. This is not a knock on him. This is just facts. He is too nice of a person to fire people so quickly. But the reality is that David Gettleman has overvalued prospects when it comes to drafting. And quite frankly, as much the Joe Judge honeymoon is over, it's now over. He needs to win football games. This whole yelling and screaming, making coaches and players run laps, it's going to fall on deaf ears if you keep losing games. And to be honest with you, The Giants screwed up. Joe Judge screwed up in week 1 against Denver, challenging for a touchdown that was already being reviewed and lost the timeout. That was great. And then
I saw that. I remember that.
I was off. I was at the game. I was sitting there in the stands when that happened, which is just incredible. But then you go to Thursday night, and that should be a team you should beat. Yeah, Washington has a really good defense, a great defense, top 5 in the NFL, no question. Didn't look like it against the Giants. I mean, Daniel Jones looked really good. And look, I like
Jones. I think he's really good. I think he has a lot of talent.
Here's the thing. I don't think he's a starting quarterback in the NFL.
On the right team.
Thank you. That's a good point. That's a really good point, Shane. I will tell you this right now. If he was on Washington, he would be a lot better.
Yeah,
that's the way I look at it. If he was on Washington, he'd be a lot better. If he was on any other team, even if he was on maybe not the Jaguars, that's kind of pushing it. If he was on
Jaguars,
the Jets,
are a mess.
Let me tell you right now, if he was on the Jets with the team that they have just like right now, the Jets would be better. Yeah. I'm not saying Zach Wilson is not good. I think Zach Wilson is really good.
He's a rookie, though.
He's a rookie. That's the point. But I look at that Daniel Jones finally has a game where he literally did not make a single mistake. He didn't turn over the ball. He didn't make a bad throw. He was good.
The offensive line looked good.
Finish. The offensive line was good, even losing Nick Gates to a horrific injury early in that game. And they still lost, which tells you this. The Giants as a collective team are not that good. They have the Giants rebuild from David Gettleman has failed, and they have to accept that. And as much as I don't want to say this, I have to say it. At this point, you might as well start planning to trade Saquon Barkley because you're wasting his time and you're wasting your own time because you're not prepared to have this amount of talent on your team on the outside. You have Saquon, you have Kenny Golladay. Evan Ingram is talented when he doesn't drop the ball. You have Kyle Rudolph, who's pretty damn good. You still have Sterling Shepard. Oh, and then you have Kadarius Toney, who you drafted in the first round, and you've played him a total of 4 plays through 2 games, and this kid right here, has more receiving yards in the National Football League than Kadarius Toney. That is how inept this team is. Jason Garrett is a crappy play caller. He actually didn't do that bad against Washington, but I was totally for Kenny Golladay yelling and screaming.
See, here's my thing. I wonder if Garrett is actually calling the plays or if Judge is like.
It's Garrett. Because Joe Judge is not. Here's the thing. Joe Judge is not an offensive guy. He's not a defensive guy. He's a special teams guy. He puts a lot of trust in his coordinators to do their job.
Because, I know there's some teams that blame the coordinator, even though the head coach is the one calling the plays.
But I will tell you this with 100% certainty: it's Jason Garrett calling the plays.
Yeah, I mean, I've never been a fan of his.
I will make one argument that will sound like I'm defending Jason Garrett, but it's a good point. Does anybody ever stop and think that maybe the reason the Giants call plays the way they do is because they don't trust Daniel Jones enough to do things?
Or they don't trust the receivers.
Or that they don't trust the receivers. That, again,
there's probably a lack of trust in that offense.
There is a lack of trust because the Giants have the 30th worst offense in the NFL right now. They're boring. Shane, you could just literally just go back and watch highlights. Look how little creativity there is with this offense. It's so it's so obvious weird. What they do. It's so obvious. So to me, there is blame on Daniel Jones because he turns over the ball way too damn much. Way too much. But there's also blame on the O-line, the coaching staff.
There's blame everywhere.
It's everywhere. It's not just we are, one problem. But I want to say this really quick as well to kind of wrap this point up because, I want to give credit where credit is due. Taylor Heineke, other than the interception, was awesome in that game.
Yeah, he had a really good game too.
And honestly, Washington proved that they don't have to go out and get Cam Newton or even bring back RG3 to win football games. Taylor Heineke is good enough to win them football games. And this division stinks. This NFC East division stinks. Again, I wouldn't be surprised if Washington won a division again with a losing record. I wouldn't throw it past them.
Yeah, that's not surprising.
And Ron Rivera, he's a good coach, man. He
He
knows
is.
what
He's
he
a
needs to do.
fantastic coach.
And it's hilarious that Washington behind the scenes is such a horrible organization, yet everything football wise has been kicking ass since they started.
Yeah.
So, and now we're trying to see what team. I really hope they just keep Washington football team because, like,
I like it. I think it looks
just
good.
sounds better. Oh, the only other team, I think Red Wolves is kind of cool. That sounds kind of cool to me.
Yeah.
But it's like, just don't call them the presidents because that's really lame.
Yeah, I mean, you already have the Capitals and the Nationals, like, calling it the
What are you going to do?
president.
Bring back the Washington Senators again? We're going to bring back that name for the umpteenth
Hopefully
time?
not.
You know, but it was a really good game considering it was a Thursday night game. It was a really good game.
Yeah, it was. Moving on, because we do have a list of games to quickly go through. We got the Patriots beating up on the Jets. Their 11th straight win against the Jets, 25-6. Zach Wilson gets hurt because their offensive line is garbage. Mac Jones looks good.
He threw 4 picks as well. I just want to point that out.
He did, and then he got hurt.
He did get hurt. Yeah, that's true.
But, like, it's also the Jets, and it's not surprising, Peyton Manning threw the most interceptions in a year as a rookie. Like, it happens. It is what it is.
You gotta give them time to at least try to figure it out.
Yeah, you gotta let them learn. The NFL is a different game than college.
This Jets team would beat any Adam Gase Jets team that they've had. That's my opinion. They're better than. Look, they could have won against Carolina week 1. They only lost by 5 points.
Yeah,
and
if they just started out better, they could have won.
And you know what? If you cut down on half of the interceptions Zach Wilson threw, the Jets could have found a way to win that game. They could have,
most likely.
So I mean, that's going to happen with Zach Wilson. Okay, he's raw. He's a rookie. Give him let him
play it out. Just give him confidence.
I'm sorry. Was Mac Jones phenomenal against the Jets? Was
Not
he
really
phenomenal against the no? But he's on the Patriots, so he
looks good.
Yeah, and look they have an offensive line. They have tight ends now. They have James White as a running back. I mean, they're fine.
We got another rookie out of Jacksonville going up against the Broncos, 23-13 for the Broncos, moving 2-0. Jaguars fall to 0-2. Lawrence hasn't looked bad.
He's looked like a rookie.
He looks like a rookie on a bad team.
5 interceptions in his first 2 games. That's a rookie.
Yeah.
It's literally a rookie.
Jacksonville now ties the longest streak since Detroit from 07-09 with 17 straight losses.
Right. They haven't won since week 1 of last year. I remember that.
Yeah. So
I don't think they're not going to go 0-17, ladies and gentlemen. Okay.
Imagine though. Imagine.
Well, here's the thing. Is Urban Meyer, does he have 1 foot out the door already, considering USC is looking for a new head coach? Honestly,
100%.
He totally does. He totally does. Look, Steve Spurrier went to the NFL and was hot garbage for 2 seasons and went to South Carolina.
Look at Nick Saban.
Nick Saban, he was there for 2 seasons and then went to Alabama.
If Saban got Breeze instead of the medical staff being like, nah, we're not going to clear.
You watched the Football Life, didn't you? You watched that Football Life.
I knew about it before, but I did definitely watched it. But if they did, if he came to Miami, it's a different story. But Broncos move 2-0. They lead that division with the Raiders, surprisingly, because KC lost.
Teddy Bridgewater, baby.
Bridgewater's looking fantastic.
Dude, I'm so happy for Bridgewater that he's finally
I love him.
Getting the recognition. He got screwed in New Orleans, he got screwed with the Jets, and he even got screwed with the Panthers.
I was surprised that they were willing to move on from him so quickly.
The Broncos can win. Carolina. The Broncos can win by literally not turning over the ball, and their defense, although Bradley Chubb is getting surgery, which is unfortunate, their defense is good, and they can compete in the AFC West.
And then moving on, Bills Dolphins 35-0. Tua got hurt. I think early in the game too, right? It was relatively.
It was early in the game. I mean, look, the game was over when it was 7-0. To be very honest,
but Bills shut them out. Take a 1-1. Everyone in that division is now 1-1, or outside of the Jets.
Except the Jets. The Jets are 0-2.
But that could end up being a very tight, especially if Tua's not out long term. That could be a very close division.
I mean, I think it's ridiculous that people are willing to give up on Tua already. But I mean, again, to be fair, the Dolphins were in a position to make the playoffs before Tua became the starting quarterback, and then Week 16 comes along and he throws 2 costly interceptions that cost them a chance to go to the playoffs
Yeah.
with a 10-win team. And they were winning games with Ryan Fitzpatrick as a quarterback. So I think I think Tua is probably going to play, but like the Dolphins better figure it out offensively, or this is going to be a long season for them.
Oh, yeah. We have 49ers, Eagles, Jimmy G, and the 49ers move to 2-0, 17-11 against the Eagles. Hurts look good. A couple of missed throws, but that's what happens. He's a first-year starter. He's practically a
rookie. He's still basically a rookie.
So San Fran goes to 2-0, stays the pace with that division because that division is looking mighty tough.
That division is fun.
Rams, Colts. Rams again go 2-0 in that NFC West division. 27-24.
It's amazing what happens when Matthew Stafford is on a good team. It's amazing
Stafford,
what it looks like.
Underrated quarterback for the last decade. I've always loved him.
Oh yeah, and look at I'm so happy for him that he's balling out. He looks good in this Rams offense. Like he looks good. And
I wish the Rams jersey looked better, but he looks good in the
they dropped the ball on that. That's for sure. They really dropped the ball. But like, look, the simple thing with Matthew Stafford is this: he had to carry a franchise for over a decade.
Yeah.
Now he doesn't have to do that. And Jalen Ramsey said it himself. He said, I knew that Matthew Stafford was good, but he's damn good. Like he's really, like in practice. He doesn't make a mistake. He's just bip 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 like that.
If he was on any other team besides Detroit, he's a Hall of Fame quarterback. No doubt in my mind.
We don't know how much longer Matthew Stafford has in this league. Maybe another 2 or 3 years. If he can win a Super Bowl, like I'm not saying the Rams are going to win a Super Bowl, but like that defense of the Rams can win them games.
100%.
They should have beaten the Cowboys. If not, and somehow Greg Zuerlein, made it. Well, that was against the Chargers actually, but the Rams can win games with that defense. And now with
a
Matthew Stafford
quarterback.
Oh my! And they got Sony Michel now. Obviously, it's right there.
Wentz has looked good in Indianapolis. Not going to lie, he has looked good. That team's still a little bit rough. I'm not expecting much out of them. They can still
got hurt
win that
again.
Division. He did get hurt again.
He hurt both of his ankles. Not one, ladies and gentlemen. He hurt both of his ankles in that game.
They can still win the division because that division is hot garbage.
That division's terrible.
Raiders, Steelers. So my Steelers, I was expecting them to lose. Raiders win, go 2-0, 26-17. Carr has one hell of a game. 300 plus.
Carr should be up for MVP early on right now.
350 plus passing yards, 2 pass TDs in 3 straight games. Longest streak in Las Vegas history. I wonder if that's including the entire organization.
It's including the Oakland Raiders as well, yes.
But the Raiders stay in with the Broncos at 2-0 lead in that division race, which is huge with that division because you never know with KC. The next game, the Steelers offense, they're 1-1. Everyone in that division is 1-1, so they're that division's way.
Big Ben needs to retire.
Agreed.
Please.
He needs to go.
It's really getting annoying at this point.
He needs to go.
And you need to not actually assume that Mason Rudolph will be your franchise quarterback because that's just not going to happen.
It's not going to happen. Hey, I think Haskins is going to do it. Honestly, I have Haskins taken over.
We'll see.
Over Rudolph.
We'll see.
But when we got the Bengals and Bears, Bengals take it a close one, 27-17. Both teams go start the season 1-1 within the first 2 weeks. Chicago's Bears defense responsible for 4 takeaways in the second half.
Pick 6 as well to win the game.
Yeah, if you want to win, you can't have costly turnovers like that. But both teams looking to make the playoffs. I highly doubt the Bengals will, but Burrow looks good. But again, he's practically a rookie.
Offensive line looks better.
Yeah, it does. It looks a lot better.
Which is interesting because they traded like 3 of their offensive linemen, which I guess they traded the ones that were failing them.
Yeah.
They look better.
Texans, Browns, 31-21 for the Browns.
The Texans are weird, man.
Tyrod Taylor gets hurt. He's out multiple weeks by the sounds of it.
5 weeks. It's out 5 weeks.
This is the interesting note. Cleveland 6-0 in games following a loss under Stefanski.
I think I understand this from Browns fans because they're like, are we really that good? Like, I think Kevin Stefanski is a really good coach overall. I think he doesn't bring a lot of drama with him. He's just a regular football coach. And I think Baker Look, Baker is a riverboat gambler. He will make mistakes, and you just got to deal with it. And look, here's the thing. Jarvis Landry's now on IR. Odell is still nowhere to be found. Like, we don't know when he's going to be healthy. And you know what? The Browns are still doing pretty well.
Yeah, they're still up there.
We'll see what happens. But, yeah, the Browns, look, that's a division. Again, the Browns are in a division that they can win.
Easily. Next game, Saints-Panthers. Darnold starts off 2-0 for the first time of his career with a 26-7 win.
Yeah,
over the Saints.
When you leave the Jets. That's what happens.
And he looked good. He looked like a top 5 pick. And I think Carolina's found its franchise quarterback. I think Darnold
for nothing. Nothing. They literally gave up nothing to get Sam Darnold.
Yeah, I think this is great. Saints looked rusty. Winston didn't look that good.
It's early days. It's early days.
Yeah, but I mean, to be fair, that Saints offense doesn't have the playmakers it had with Breeze.
Michael Thomas is out for another couple of weeks, so we'll see what happens with that. And look, and also that defense of the Saints needs a lot of work.
Yeah,
there's something wrong there
too.
They've lost. Salary cap will do that to you.
Yeah. And then the next game, Vikings versus Cardinals. Vikings lose a close one on a last-second field goal, 37-yarder.
Go look up the Vikings radio broadcaster call of that.
Yeah, I don't even want to. I know it's going to be bad.
He flipped out saying it was good, and then a second later, he's up here, and then he goes, "Oh no, he missed it."
Yeah.
So
Cardinals go 2-0.
Kyler Murray. This might be that MVP year, ladies and gentlemen.
He looks good.
He's literally carrying my fantasy team. I'm 2-0 because of Kyler Murray.
He's looking good. They win 34-33. They moved to 2-0 in that very stacked NFC West division. Got a couple more games left. Falcons, Buccaneers. Falcons made it close heading into half, and then just lost it in the second half. They lose 48-25. Bucks improved to 2-0 to stay pace with the Panthers in that NFC South Division. Falcons dropped to 0-2. Another bad second half showing by the Falcons. Honestly, at this point, I look at moving Ryan and just saying, screw it, we're gonna move on. We're gonna start.
I think they should have done that. They should not have drafted Kyle Pitts.
I agree.
They should have gone after a quarterback just dealt with it. And again, this is a case of the owner just not wanting to be mean to his star quarterback and be like, "Hey, man,
they traded Julio Jones. They should have traded Matt Ryan,
or just bought him out. I could care whatever.
Get rid of him." But Tom Brady in that offense, that happens when you have all pros on your basically every position.
It's what happens when you're playing fantasy football in real life.
Yeah, it's just what happens when you have multiple all pros on your offense. They should be running like a smooth machine, and that's what they're looking like.
Amen to that.
Titans, Seahawks. Titans win an overtime game, 33-30. Derrick Henry, 237 scrimmage yards, 3 touchdowns, 41 total touches.
45 fantasy points, by the way.
He went off in the second half. That was crazy.
Bro, in the first half, it looked like, okay, again, Derrick Henry's not doing very much. They got to win by throwing the ball. Second half, he's like, no, just keep giving me the ball because it's
the rock.
No, because here's the thing. Derrick Henry is such a big physical back that at some point defenders start giving up.
Start wearing out.
Do you want to keep putting your head in through there and trying to hit him? Bro, after a while, he's just going to beat you. And also, something very dangerous for the NFL. Derrick Henry's becoming a passing back now as well.
Yeah, that's
He's
true.
starting to make plays out of the backfield, getting the ball thrown to him. That is a problem for defenses.
Yeah. All right, we got 3 final games. We got starting with the Cowboys versus Chargers. Cowboys win a close one, 20-17 on a last second field goal by Zerline. 56-yard attempt as time expired. They both are sitting at 1-1. I was kind of surprised. I was expecting the Chargers to win this game.
Should have won.
They should have. But, both teams fall 1-1. Kind of hurts the Chargers, benefits the Cowboys in that. And the NFC East division, because that division is garbage. Prescott looked good, but Elliott just didn't look himself. I think they move. I honestly, if I'm the in division trade, Barkley for Elliott. Elliott had a lot of success. Elliott had a lot of success with Garrett.
What would Elliott do with this offensive line? Nothing. You think he's doing nothing now? He would do nothing with this offensive line.
Maybe putting him back with Garrett might help him. I'm just saying.
Nope.
I'm just saying.
I don't
know you
want
might
any
not
more
like it.
clapping. I'm tired of the clapping. It's
I know. But the next game, this was a close one. 35-36. The Ravens come out on top against the Chiefs. They both fall to 1-1, which I think a lot of people were expecting the Chiefs to be the last undefeated team.
Oh, well.
So
and here's the thing. Two things. Clyde Edwards-Helaire fumbled, which cost them the game. And number two, the balls on the Ravens to decide on 4th and 1 from your own 40, knowing if you don't get it, you give Mahomes literally a minute to go down and just kick a field goal to win that game. You get a key block from Kevin Zeitler. Lamar Jackson dives ahead and you win the game. That is a ballsy call there.
Yeah, hey, I mean, it works. Whatever, it worked. But they go 1-1, both of them. And then the heartbreaking money loss. Over $700,000 lost on
$750,000 this man would have won.
The Packers took it to the Lions in the second half, 35-17, dropped the Lions to 0-2. Packers go 1-1. Aaron Jones, 3 receiving touchdowns, 1 rushing touchdowns, first time in Green Bay history. What a game by the Aarons. Both Rodgers and Jones had really good games. But man, that's got to sting. Going 15-1 on a 16-game parlay. Whoo, that's got to hurt.
I don't know why this man took the Lions. Because obviously.
Let's be honest. He probably didn't think he would be going 15-0 going into the Monday
night.
And
also, look, it's always tempting to want to take the underdog because you know you could cash out more.
Yeah.
That's obviously it. That's it. And it was 17-14 and a half, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, he must have been feeling pretty off.
He was pretty pumped up in the first half. He was like, I could do this. And I just want to say this. The genius of ESPN to create the Manning cast with literally Eli and
loved it.
This is hilarious. This is great. And they had on, last night they had Brett Favre. They had on Pat McAfee. Oh my God, it was hilarious from start to finish, and I can't wait for more of this because this is just great. I'm loving this Manning cast.
It's amazing. I hope they keep it up for the rest of the season. I personally love it. Obviously, some quick scores for the CFL. We saw it on the banner, but we'll quickly go over it. Hamilton beats Calgary, drops Calgary to 2-5 with a 23-17 win in Hamilton, brings their record to 3-3. Saskatchewan moves to 4-2. Toronto drops to 3-3 with a 30-16 win for Saskatchewan. BC improves to 4-2, goes 27-18 over Montreal, drops their record for 2-3. Winnipeg goes into their bye week 6-1 with a convincing 37-22 win over Edmonton, dropping them to 2-4. Week 8 kicks off Wednesday night. 3-3 Hamilton visiting the 1-4 Ottawa Redblacks after their bye week. Friday, we have the 2-3 Montreal Alouettes going over against the Toronto Argonauts. And then the 4-2 Saskatchewan Roughriders going off against BC and 4-2. That matchup will decide who's second in the West, and that's going to be a close one.
Yeah, there's a lot of good games, going into this week. And I think when you look at the season so far, being 5-6 weeks into it, I think you're really starting to figure out now, who are going to be those teams that are really going to, make some noise. Winnipeg actually surprises me a little bit that they're we knew that they were going to be good, but this good is really surprising to me. They're clicking on all cylinders and they've been doing it right from the get-go. I'm a little bit surprised that Edmonton has been struggling as much as they have.
Harris is trash.
I'm just kind of surprised by that. Same thing with Toronto as well. I expected more from Toronto this year, to be honest with you. I don't know what's going on with their situation.
Rookie head coach, rookie starting quarterback, her first year starting quarterback.
Yeah, but still, it's just on paper they look like a much better team.
Yeah, but they're showing their inexperience in certain positions.
Yeah, but I feel like one team that I'm expecting to do better, as season progresses, is probably BC. I feel like BC, I don't know what's up with their offense, but there's moments where they look like like they're gonna like click it on all cylinders like Winnipeg has. And then they have like a couple plays in a row where they look like they've never been running this offense before.
Yeah, that's a Campbell issue. It happened with Ottawa. It is what it is.
So like if they can just get it clicking on offense, they're going to be competing right there with Winnipeg.
Yeah, 100%. But before we wrap up, because we are over the hour mark, but that's what happens when Neil and I get together. We always go
well
above.
Over the hour mark.
We always go over it. But just to run down, the Spew Sports, Full Swing, OUA, and the AUS, so the Atlantic Coast and Ontario, both started their seasons in week 1. So before we head off, I'll just quickly run over the scores. St. FX beat St. Mary's 33-23 on Friday night. Concordia beats in overtime, beats McGill 36-33. They go to 2-1. McGill goes to 1-2. And then Saturday, full slate of games. Again, most of these games are free to watch. Just head on over to the U Sports website. You can find the OUA TV on there. So we kick off Saturday with Acadia losing a close one to Mount Allison 10-9. So to go to 0-1, Mount Allison goes to 1-0. Ottawa U against the Toronto Varsity Blues loses 11-10. York gets annihilated by Laurier, going 37-6 for Laurier.
Ouch.
Western beats up on McMaster 41-13. Queens beats Carleton 18-6. Waterloo beats up on Windsor 42-14. And Montreal beats Laval in a very close one 18-17 to drop Laval 2-2. They've lost their last 2 games. Montreal moves up to first at 2-1. And Manitoba loses a preseason matchup against Saskatchewan 31-14. We got the Canada West games. Our first week of the season starts up next week on the Saturday with the Regina, Manitoba, Alberta, and UBC. So you will want to catch that. You can always check out, again, all these games are mostly free on U Sports. Just head on over there and you'll be able to find which games you want to watch. Super fun, great football. But honestly, I love it. They're free to watch. And you can't really go wrong with some Saturday football.
No, you cannot unless you obviously live in the States and you got college football as well. So I mean,
yeah, you got a lot. Hey, you got a lot to choose from. Got a lot of choice.
You do.
But again, thank you, Neil, for coming on in short notice. It was a pleasure having you on. Yeah. This was only supposed to be originally about a half-hour interview between you, and then we're like, hey, just come on and do the entire show with us. Appreciate you coming on. Where can people find you?
So you can follow me on Twitter at THENVPSHOW and on Instagram at NVPQB11. And if you want to check out the Devil State of Mind podcast, which is one of the podcasts on the Hockey Podcast Network, you can follow us on Twitter at Devil State, Instagram at Devil State of Mind, and like us as well on Facebook. Just search Devil State of Mind. And Shane, it's always a pleasure to come on and talk, whether it's hockey or just sports in general. Really, really appreciate you having me on today, man.
Hey, no issue. You're always welcome. It's always an open invitation. If everyone you want to come on, just let me know.
We're gonna have our Olympic hockey debate in a couple months. Don't worry.
Oh yeah, we have our fantasy draft happening in a couple of weeks, so we'll. And I think
we are live streaming that. We confirmed that we're live streaming that. That's great.
I need to talk to them to see if they want to do it through them, or I can do it on my own end. But we will be live streaming it. No issue with that on my end.
Yep.
But again, guys, thank you all for listening. Thank you all for partaking. If you're on YouTube, remember to subscribe, hit that like button, follow, share, all that fun stuff. And also check out Customized Sports Canada. Use promo code 13th man to get 13% off of your order. Free kit, great custom kits for any sports fan. I have a bunch of them that I need to do. So you'll want to stay, check our Twitter, Instagram for pictures like that. Follow us, 13th Man, on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. Our website is 13th Man Sports. You can head on over to the 13th Man Network as well on Instagram and Twitter. And we will catch you all back here with a brand new episode next Wednesday at 10 o'clock. Find us on wherever you find your podcast and on YouTube. Stay safe, and we'll see you then.